2006 was a huge year for Nike, and we already know that in early 2006, Nike released these amazing Air Max 360s. Check them out. It's the largest visible air bubble in a pair of Air Maxes up until this point in time. And when these shoes released, they were released with a pack of Air Maxes. It was known as the History of Air Pack, and it included the Air Max 1, 90, 180, 93, 95, 97, and 2003 models. It was a really exciting day for sneakerheads all over the world when those shoes came out. So the 360 was really a big deal, but it wasn't even the biggest technological innovation of 2006. I would argue that it was Nike+. Check out this box right here. You'll see a swoosh with a plus sign right in the middle. That's going to tell the buyer that this shoe is compatible with iPods. So we all know that Apple created the iPod. It first came out in 2001, and it's completely revolutionized the way that we listen to music. And in 2006, Nike collaborated with Apple and created this Nike+ technology where you could run and the shoes would communicate with your iPod and tell you everything about your run, how far you went, how much time you spent running, how many calories you burned, things like that. And this was one of the very first pairs of shoes to feature that amazing technology. You can even see right here that there's plus symbols on the heel, on the outside and the inside of the shoe, and on the tongue, it's going to have a swoosh with a plus sign. The Zoom Plus and the Zoom Moire were the first two shoes to feature this Nike+ technology. I love the Zoom Pluses, and I thought they'd be the perfect shoe to talk about this technology since they are called Zoom Pluses and Nike+ is the technology. So let's put these over here and talk about these amazing shoes. So you buy this shoe, and then back in 2006, you would have to spend about $30 on this little kit. And the kit has a little chip that fits on the inside of the left shoe. You actually pull the insole out of the left shoe, place the chip in right here, and this goes into the iPod. And the two things communicated with one another, and it completely revolutionized working out, running. It was sort of a marriage of technology, Apple, Nike, sports. It was really, really exciting. And lots of shoes to this day have this technology. You might not even know it, but a pair of your running shoes could say plus and could have a little hole in the insole for you to put a little chip in and track your activity. Now I want to talk about this pair of shoes that also came out in 2006. They're called the Air 180s, and I love this shoe. So remember, this is the 360, and this was the 180. And not just because it has half as much air as the 360. Remember that the 360 has a full visible air bubble. And here, the air is really only wrapping around the heel on the 180. But the reason why it's called the Air 180 is because you can see air 180 degrees around. Look how you can see the air bubble right here on this shoe. Over here is a pair of original release Air 180s, and they have the same thing where when you look at the sole of the shoe, you can see that visible air. So this is the second generation of this shoe. So let me place these amazing 180s on display, and then we'll talk about why I have a pair of beat up original release 180s next to me. So this shoe is very special to me. It is the Air 180 Ultramarine OG original colorway. These were my dad's shoes. When I was growing up, my dad ran marathons, and he ran his fastest marathon in these shoes, in these actual shoes right here. His marathon time was 3 hours and 5 minutes. And I remember going to the sneaker stores with my dad, and he taught me all about this shoe in the early 90s. And he was like, Jord, it's amazing. It's an Air 180. You can see air 180 degrees around. And I was just completely fascinated and captivated by these amazing shoes. And so let's fast forward like 15 or 20 years, and now I'm in the shoe business. And all of these new revolutionary shoes are coming out, including the second generation Air 180s. And so now I'm buying these shoes and selling them, and I'm buying these shoes and I'm collecting them. And I can't tell you how awesome it was for me to give my dad a couple pairs of the second generation Air 180 as an adult and show him, hey dad, look, this was your old running shoe. Remember when you taught me about it? And look, by the way, you can remove the insole right here and there's a chip to put an iPod chip, and it'll communicate with you and tell you all about your run. And it was just like so cool and so exciting, and it was kind of like me doing for my dad what my dad did for me all those years when I was growing up. I've got a couple pictures of my dad right here from his marathon days. You can probably barely make it out, but on the bottom here are these Ultramarine 180s. I'm sure you can make out his mullet. And then here's another pair, or another picture where he's wearing the same pair of shoes running on a track. I just love all of these shoes, and every time they come out with a new model, I look at it and it's really easy for me to trace the roots back to where it once started. And the iPod worked with the Air 180, but not with the Air 360. I don't think that Nike had the technology to make it so that you could put a chip in here because there was that full visible air bubble. And this shoe was considerably cheaper in 2006 than the 360. The 360 was $160, and this one was only $125. It's really lightweight, breathable, mesh upper, and it works with the iPod, which was super duper cool. So I always thought that this shoe was at least as cool as this one, and maybe even more wearable because it's more breathable. I know my dad loves his shoes, and I can't wait till they continue to release this technology. Nowadays we have GPS sports watches, fuel bands. The whole idea of plugging something into your iPod is already outdated and old, and who knows what the future will have for us, but I know Nike will be right there to bring it to us.